Merry meet everyone. Welcome back to another Astro update. And I tell you guys, I don't know what to say. February is going to be one of these months. It's going to go by quick. Um, there's a lot of things that are going to be felt. I'm wearing my Free Bird shirt because I am celebrating that Aquarius new moon, and Aquarius is all about freedom. So I do want to ask you guys to hang in there with me. I am going to have to wear my glasses and there is going to be a glare. Normally I have everything written up and I have it organized, so I'm good to go, but hmm, there's a first time for everything. It's been crazy. Honestly, I'm just glad I'm here doing the report because, this, mm, you know, gosh, everyone I know has got stuff going on. There's just a lot of people that's got a lot of stuff. I mean, heavy stuff, myself included. I've had a lot of heavy stuff going on, and I'm telling you, it is just like, let me breathe. But everybody I know, and even when I get online and I'm looking on social media and I'm checking out other people's page and stuff, and I'm seeing that they've got stuff going on too. So everybody has got stuff going on. And, just be compassionate with people, be understanding. Just because somebody is there, I think with social media, our boundaries get a little blurred. And I think that sometimes we need to remember boundaries. We need to have compassion for other people. We can get so caught up in our world and what's going on with us that we forget that other people have things going on in their life and they got other things they have to deal with, and they may not be able to chat or do everything that you want them to do. But anyway, I digress from that. I just want to say that if you're going through a hard time right now, my heart goes out to you. Yeah, sad to say, you're not alone. There's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff right now. There's a lot of change, and I'm going to tell you why. And I want to back this up a little bit. And yeah, I'm going to back it up to, let's see, a few years ago, back on, and actually it's been 4 years ago. I'm gonna back it up to the end of January of 2020. You remember when we had that stellarium in Capricorn? And if you don't know, go back to my Astro Tarot shows, go back to around 2019 and 2000, and 2020, that area, December. Shoot, I think I started talking about it and preparing everybody in November of 2019. But anyway, go back and take a listen to that and that stellarium. And there was some powerful planets there. It was remember, we had, let's see, we had Saturn, we had Pluto, we had Mercury, and the sun. Okay. And, the last time that we experienced that stellarium in 2020 in Capricorn was 500 years ago. Now, what astrology does, I know a lot of people don't realize, but astrology, it kind of plays off of history a little bit. When we look at astrology, we look at these aspects and then we go back. When was the last time this happened? What went on? What was happening? That sort of thing. And that's how we can figure out what that energy is going to bring. And it was on January the 20th of 2024 that Pluto finally, because you remember he went into Aquarius for a little bit last year, then he went back in Capricorn, and now he has moved out of Capricorn back into Aquarius. And we started this month off with Mercury on the 5th of February meeting up with Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and that's called a conjunction. Okay, they were conjunct. They met up there at that and basically right now Pluto is a gatekeeper for Aquarius. So everybody that is moving through Aquarius is going to have to meet up with the Lord of the underworld first. And guys, this is very important. And this conjunction that Mercury had with Pluto is bringing about an epic it is the start of an epic new era. It is start of something new that's happening. So, and before I get into the depth of this, I want to first talk about a lineup that's happening and why this is important. So on the 5th, Mercury has the conjunction. Mercury moved into Capricorn. I'm sorry, Mercury moved out of Capricorn into Aquarius. And that is where he met up with Pluto, the Lord of the underworld. And then on the 13th, Mars will meet up with Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And then a few days later, on the 16th of January, Venus is going to meet up with Pluto. So each one of them are taking turns going through the underworld. So when Mercury goes there are things, and we have seen things that have come out that's been kind of shocking, and that's kind of like that in Aquarius. Aquarius is that electric energy. It's kind of shocking energy. And Pluto is very much about hidden. It's what is hidden from public. And this can signify some news coming out that has been hidden from the public, that that we may not have known about, or maybe we've heard a little bit about it, but we didn't know the seriousness of it. And this is happening right now, and this is happening with all countries. Now, I can only speak for the United States because this is where I live. But as I look at the world news and just look at what is going on in the world, there is a lot of stuff going on. People rising up against those top-down structures, those that have that Capricornian type of energy where they want control of everything. This is about control. Pluto, when Pluto was in Capricorn, that is about that power. That is a power a placement right there. So from there, we also have our Aquarius new moon. And this new moon is very interesting, is because, well, the new moon, of course, is when the moon meets up with the sun at the same degree in the same sign. So it is, in essence, a conjunction, right? So, and that was at 19 degrees of Aquarius. And at that point, it created a square with Uranus. Yes, Uranus, the Great Awakener. The Great Awakener is, I will do what I need to do to make you wake up and see what's going on. And right now, with everything that's coming out, especially with our, in the United States, with our top-down government stuff that's coming out, we are being really shocked right now. So a square is basically when two planets are like 90 degrees apart. And this is very tense. This is, it's like a square. They're squaring each other. So it's like a standoff. Something's got to budge. Something's got to give. So I will say that, when it comes to this new moon, Uranus is about freedom. Aquarius is about freedom. So this is about listening to our intuition, opening up. We can have some aha moments during this time. And I will say that we're going to have to definitely differentiate between our egoic desires as well as like having spiritual guidance and where our soul's calling. But Aquarius is really wanting to awaken the freedom, and it's really connecting to our heart. And this is one thing that also it helps us to use discernment. Okay. So Aquarius new moon squaring Uranus, this is again, it's like a great awakening. It's a transitional point. It is it's letting go of the known to embrace the unknown. Um, when it comes to Aquarius, it is the future. It is about looking forward in the future and like a bigger picture. And it's about living in complete trust in yourself, trust in the universe, um, just trust in the web, the tapestry of life, so to speak. So I will say that when we let go, it allows us to make room for the new. And in this, it could be people, it could be places, it could be things. It could be, this time of year, we get, depending on where you are in the world, I know some of us are already having spring-like weather, but even still, even if you're not having the weather, you start feeling that need to have to clean out. You start feeling that need of, things are just cluttered, things just need to change. Um, we really need to really need to mix things up a little bit, break the monotony in our life. And some of these things that we may have to release are, people, places, things, including pets. We're going through a very rough patch. So it's not about it's not really about um understanding why you want it, so to speak, but it's understanding that some things come to pass. Like there is a time and place for everything. Okay. Um, we get so used to living on autopilot, and we fail to realize that we are indeed here for something. And one of the things that I heard, today, and actually it really touched me, is that, I heard the message of, you have a story. And even though you may not feel that that it's not much, you have a story that can help other people, that may be going through something similar as you're going through. You're here for something. It may be big, it may be small, but you're here for a reason. And I believe that. I don't believe that we're here just, existing because I believe there's a reason here. And, we do get lost, you know, with all of the pressures that we have on us um, through the jobs, through the family, through everything that you got to do, you can get lost and you can get numb. You begin to um, just kind of lose yourself and not feel anymore, and feel like you're just existing, and um, nothing's there. And that is because we have lost that connection with our soul. About a year and a half, I have talked about, in the past astrology that I have done, I have talked about remembering who you are, about finding your sovereignty, about knowing, what is valuable to you, what means a lot to you. And we go through these, and as I was, and if you haven't listened to my astrology, please go back and do so. Please go back and do so, because it will really help you with what is going on right now. This is an unfoldment that is happening. You know, in our world of instant gratification, we expect things to happen right now, but you know, that's not really how everything works. Sometimes it takes a moment for things to develop. And we can't forget our soul. We can't forget our soul's calling. And through this, you know, a new moon is a new beginning, but it's also an ending. Okay. And this ending can be heartbreaking. It can be very, very heartbreaking. But it's needed to open the heart. It's needed to, how do they say, you know, break your heart wide open so that it can love again, you know? And many are going through a lot of stuff right now. So this could really be, you could really be struggling with this. You could be really struggling about a loss, of letting go, of just having to come to terms with that. You know, Pluto with Mars and Saturn in Pisces. We're going to talk about Saturn here in a minute. When Mars goes into Pluto, this can, you know, Pluto is about where we're going. And this could also mean like a person that we're having to let go of. So, you know, but Mars is about where we're going and what we're doing, and are we going the way that we need to be going? That is one thing. When Mars goes into the underworld, he gets to look at his life. He gets to look at, is this really what I want? Is this really the, is this really the route that I need to take? And there's just, there's a lot to examine here. And, you know, one of the things I hear is resilience. And there's a lot of us, and I included, that's just, you know, it's like, you know, how much stronger do I have to be? How much resilience do I have to show? And it's that point where, you know, you're called to the carpet. And whenever you have Uranus involved in any aspect, you know, Uranus represents extremes. And it will bring up, Uranus will bring up differences. It will bring up truth. And that's one thing that we're really going to have to really sit with for this new moon, is truth, because Aquarius is about truth as well. Uranus is Aquarius's planet, and they're square each other. So this is about getting real with ourselves and where we're going. And when Mars visits Pluto in Aquarius on the 13th, this is really going to highlight that, is, are you going in the right direction? Really? It can put Mars in a vulnerable position. And why I keep talking about Mars is because that's the individual. That is the I am. And it can put us in a very vulnerable position to where we can question things in our life. We can question our jobs. We can question our relationships. We can question where we live. We can question everything about that, about where you're going, everything that has to pertain to your life. And Uranus is that awakener, and he's extremes, and he will do what he needs to do to make you pay attention. But the biggest question here is, you know, when we get into truth, is, Are we aligning with truth? Because I have presented people with truth, and I have talked to people about things that have come out and been proven, and they don't believe it. They still don't believe it, no matter what you show them, no matter what you provide them, whatever documentation, whatever. They are so caught up in, and this is ego, mind you. They're so caught up in what they perceive is that they miss the total boat on truth. They have their mind so made up on something that they refuse to see anything else. And that is sad. That is truly sad. And I see this everywhere. I see it everywhere. I can hear it when people are talking, and it's really sad. So are you willing? Are you willing to follow the path of truth despite all the problems or the issues that it may cause? Are you? Are you going to be able to withstand this storm? Because there's going, and it's just like every time something tries to come out that sheds light on what's going on, you will always see some kind of something come back and try to put its boot right on the back of its neck to keep it in line. That's not freedom. One of the things I miss is freedom of speech. Every time I do a video, I always have to make sure how I speak and what I say. Is that freedom? Because small pebbles can change the course of the whole river. It may not be right then. It may take time. But I promise you, it will change. And we have to understand this. We have to see a bigger future. We have to look into the future, and we have to really say, we really need to get to the bottom of this. We really need to get right. So as we are standing here and we are looking at this truth, and we're going through all of these, and when Venus visits Pluto, I promise you it's really going to go in questioning our desires and what we call love and that sort of thing. But that entirely is a different video, so I will wait for that. But let's go on and keep talking about the aspects with this new moon. This resilience, like I said, it's bouncing back. It's um things happen, um things don't go the way that we want it to, and we have to have courage. We have to have faith in ourselves, and that is what pulls us through. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to have faith in ourselves. We have to keep hope, and keep seeking the truth. I will never stop seeking the truth. We'll never stop seeking the truth. And that's where we have to be. We can't just allow ourselves to be just so zombified that we just fall in line. We have to be able to stand up and be truth. This is being our truth, living our truth, and speaking our truth. And not only our truth, but the truth of what is happening. Now, I want to talk about the Sabian symbol, and then I'm going to talk about another aspect that's going on. Remember, I mentioned Saturn a little bit ago, and I'll talk about him some more. But the Sabian symbol for 19 degrees of Aquarius is, and I want you to listen really close to this, it's a disappointed and disillusioned woman courageously facing a seemingly empty life. Did y'all hear that? Ooh. A disappointed and disillusioned woman who's facing who's courageously facing a seemingly empty life. The keynote here is capacity to meet emotionally upsetting experiences in human relationships with strength of character and personal integrity. So when a man achieves success, or I should say business, I won't say a man, but when anybody in business and anybody in the business world achieves success, it's because they have the ability to deal with crisis and temporary reversal of fortune. So they understand the ebb and flow. They go with that ebb and flow of life. You know, what goes up must come down. So here, when it has this woman, this is connecting us to our emotional part. This is a woman that is confronted with sharp disappointments, facing vanishing, facing the vanishing of cherished illusions, presumably of a close personal relationship. And with the teaching is to learn to manage such crises that test inner strength of compassion. And sometimes that needs developed because it's really hard to understand what people are going through until you go through it. It's experience. This is about having resilience under adversity. Wow, sitting there and looking at a seemingly empty, just emptiness. That is pretty deep. This is profound in many, many ways. And, you know, just by even saying that, as you know, this can go into a lot of things. Now, Mars, when he comes into play, when he descends into Pluto, this is the underworld. This is when he starts letting go of attachments. You know, Mars is physical. He's going to have to let go of attachments and desires. Again, Mars is my path. It's where I think that I'm going. And I will add, though, that Mars and Venus will meet up in Aquarius for a conjunction. And that is going to bring some really beautiful energy about. It is in this placement, what I'm feeling from Mars and Venus, because Mars represents the masculine and Venus represents that feminine, that is our celestial lovers. And this is where the understanding comes in. They're not in competition with each other because they can't be, because they're different. And unfortunately, it is only through tragedy where our compassion is awakened. And it takes a lot for us to sometimes find that compassion to give to others. But I feel that later on, and I did not write the date down when this conjunction happened, and I do apologize. I thought I had it here, but I do not. But when all of these things that are happening, and then Mars and Venus meet up together in Aquarius, this is going to be some really good energy. and they're going to learn to work together in harmony. If you've been following my tarot of the month, I speak of the infinity sign, the figure 8, and I talk about that middle point, because one side represents the masculine, the other side represents the feminine. And it's in that middle point, that is where the magic happens. That is where creation happens. And we're at the point we're having to realize that masculine and feminine cannot compete against each other because they are different. It is like, for example, competition. Competition is good, but competition is about competing against yourself. You should be your biggest competitor, you, because there's no one else in this world like you. None. You have your own fingerprints for a reason. You have your own energetic frequency, your expression for a reason. You may do the same thing, but you're not the same. And we have to graduate from that competition type of mind frame of that I've got to beat the Joneses, I've got to be better than my neighbor, I've got to be better than that. Nobody can do anything like me because I have my energy in it. Whereas I can't do anything like anyone else because they have their energy in it. We have to get past this busyness. It's like a monkey mind. We have to evolve past that so that we can consciously grow. If we want better, then we have to be better, right? So, Uranus gives us that dose of shocking reality, and it's going to take compassion to see us through these through challenges and the adversity. I'll say this: Pluto represents the root chakra, and Mars is the solar plexus. So you're bringing in that survival, that I need to do what I got to do to survive, and you're moving it up, right, to our solar plexus, to where we have our own personal power. This energy can also be felt like it's a testing. You're being tested by spirit, so to speak. And I want to talk about Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces, and he's starting to move forward. And he is going to return to where he was last June. So go back and, what were you doing last June? That'll give you some highlights on that. And, also, because Uranus is now at 19 degrees as well, both those planets have, they're in their forward motion. But Uranus was at 19 degrees of Taurus last May. That's where he's at now. And he's just stationed at that last degree. So we are going to be revisiting some of the things that we had back in May and June. And, the actions and choices. So those actions that we made then, we are now seeing, those are choices we made then, those things that we did then, we are now seeing the aftermath of that. Maybe, some of the things we did consciously, maybe some of the things we didn't, but this is the time where we are starting to get the results of what we were working on last year, those choices that we made. So Saturn in Pisces is very, very humbling. And last June, we're going to be looking at if you signed any contracts, made any commitments, whatever you did last June, you are now seeing those results from that. Saturn is forward, and he's when he's going forward and getting out of those retrograde degrees, he is now walking on new land, so to speak. So this is newness. This is all about newness and new land, and it can be scary. So with this new land that we're standing on, it can cause some challenges. And Saturn is the teacher. And Saturn is really, he has a bad reputation. There's a lot of people that don't like Saturn, but Saturn teaches us. He teaches us and makes us stronger to prepare us. And with him going forward in Pisces, and in Pisces, he is saying to us that it is now, and with the square that's happening with the new moon and Uranus too, this is telling you, we either make the dreams a reality or we realize that it's an illusion and we let it go. And some things are not meant for manifestation. I mean, I know some things that I hear people talk about, I don't even, it's like, are you using common sense here? You know, you're it's the same sword, just the different edges. It's a double-edged sword here, and you're not seeing this. One is not better than the other. So we have to see the illusions for what they are. Some things are not meant to be manifest in this world. So we need to let those things go. And it is a time right now where many people can become disillusioned. So we need to have compassion. We need to have understanding. But when you have like the other planets of Neptune, and you have Uranus, and you have Pluto, and you have Chiron, these are all higher, they all have a higher spiritual nature to them. So they're like, you know, it's when our desires, our egoic desires, become secondary and our soul's calling becomes priority. So Saturn in Pisces is where we become the students. And this is a very humbling experience, very humbling. Neptune and Saturn in Pisces, this is the grand finale of this zodiac here. This is a big year to come to terms with natural grief that we've had. And that it's only human to feel, loss is a hard thing. And it's something that needs to be felt. We need to feel this loss. We need to be humbled. We need to have compassion for ourselves, compassion for others. This needs to be respected, but it also needs to be released. And loss can be an extremely humbling experience because you realize just how lost we are, or illusioned we are, by thinking that we have control of everything. This new moon is about awakening us to that. We don't have control of everything. We can only control our actions. We can't control what other people do. And this is something that, I have been struggling with as well. And other people, realizing that we don't have control of everything. And that's what Saturn teaches us. He's not some horrible person that's out there trying to hurt us. He's trying to teach us, and he's trying to guide us, and he's given us his sage wisdom. Saturn is that sage that, when I think of Saturn in Pisces, I think about this sage going into those waters of chaos and focusing upon one area and bringing order to that area. But in order to do that, it's going to require focus. And that is really something we're going to have to, that is a key word, is focus. Focus, focus, focus. We have to think about our obligations, our responsibilities, all those things that we have to take care of. And, that is a part of our Saturn. as well. He reminds us of our obligations, our responsibilities. But what about the responsibility to ourselves? Saturn says make the dream happen or release it um, into those Piscean waters to be dissolved. This is inwardly, dealing with different kind of loss, of guilt, of heartbreak and hurt, to the external of leaving a job that that you should have left it a year ago, getting out of relationships that are not serving anyone anymore. Maybe you own too many things. It's time to clean out. Or look around your house. If you haven't used it in a year, why do you still have it? Just decluttering your life. So also we look at our community as well. What is your responsibility to your community? We always start at our community. Charity always begins at home. And if you can't take care of your own, if you can't keep your backyard clean, you can't keep your own house clean, you have no business trying to do somebody else's. If you can't take care of your own, you have no business trying to take care of anybody else. And that goes all the way around. There's a connection here within taking care of the self and taking care of all. And we can't be too scattered brained in order to do so. We have to have focus here. Saturn's teachings are priceless if you pay attention. But that's just the thing. You have to pay attention. And we also have to use discernment. We have to really use discernment in our life. And this is where compassion comes in too. Saturn, he looks at what is practical, what is doable, and bring this into the manifested world. And then what is just, the pipe dream, it's time to release that. And it's a slow process. I'm not saying this stuff is going to happen overnight. I'm not saying you're going to wake up the next day and whatever. Aquarius has electric energy in it, and it could be those aha moments, those ideas you get, those thoughts you get, that awakened you. Uranus is the great awakener. So it could be these shocking things that happen that make you just wake up and make you realize that this has got to change, right? So I will say that Aquarius is like an electric breeze of fresh air, and it's wanting to give its energy, give that electric energy to our thoughts, to our innovations. It's wanting to do this. But, with the square to Uranus, this is not going to be mild. This is not going to be, well, you can tiptoe through it. No, this is like, it's time to take the plunge. It is time to step off the cliff. It's time to deep dive. You either do it or you don't do it. For a long time, I thought, that I was separate. I had a point in my life before I began my true spiritual path. I had a moment where I thought that I was separate from Mother Gaia. And but no, I have, as I have experienced life, I see differently. I heard before when I was a child, I was told that I should be in this world, but not of it. And I did think that meant I had to just sever my ties from Mother Earth and just be separate from her, not be of it. But that's different. And as I have lived my life and I've had the experience that I've had, I realize the bigger meaning of that. I am in this world. I am a part of this world, but I am not of it. And what I mean by that is, I mean the selfish desires, the greed, that's what which we see, that total competition of having to keep up and having to have this, and you know, you can't even now, when you go on social media, it's like all the time you're constantly bombarded with this person selling this and this, that, the other, and it's just always wanting you to spend your money on stuff that you really do not need. And you know, we have to look at that again. We think about that woman looking into emptiness with this disappointment, okay, of what she thought would be, and realizing what it is. And that is the sin, because, you know, you're missing the mark here. Because you're missing the lessons that you have learned along the way. I spoke so much about sovereignty in the past, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years. The astrology was speaking of sovereignty, of you remembering your sovereignty, remembering who you are, remembering what you wanted in life. Remember that you are responsible for you and nobody else. And you should not rely on anyone to tell you what is good for you. Know what is safe for you, what is not safe for you, so forth. Take your sovereignty back. You know, everyone is different. What is good for me is not good for you. And that is something that needs to be recognized. And we also have to understand that sometimes there's agendas behind things. And we have to realize that. So it is our responsibility to go forward, to use our actions, to, you know, to make better, to do better. But we can't forget our soul. And when we are in Aquarius, it can be all mental, but we can't lose the heart. And that's the problem. We've been in the mental for far too long. We can't exist in our mind. Our mind is a servant, and that's how we have to treat it. We have a soul, we have a heart. And if you haven't read about what all they have found out about a heart, then you need to. The heart is more powerful than you have ever known it to be. I have been absolutely flabbergasted about what I have learned that the heart can do. Go do your research. I'm not going to tell you. Go do your research. Find out how powerful your heart is. It's not just an organ that pumps blood through your body. It's far more greater than that. So for this new moon, this Aquarius new moon, squaring Uranus, with Saturn and Neptune and Pisces in the picture, what is the truth? Are you willing to align yourself with truth? Are you willing to let go of all of your cognitive dissonance? Are you willing to let go of what has been pushed into your mind to believe, and to see truth for what it really is? Are you willing to step up to the plate and live in truth, no matter what challenges or issues that it may bring you? And what is freedom? What is freedom to you? What does it look like? Remember, Pisces says, keep it practical. Don't get lost in the illusion. Grounded. Bring it down to earth. Okay? We can get lost up here, we really can. But we can't forget our soul and our heart. Remember to treat people with compassion. There's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff right now. A lot. And you know what? Everybody else is just as busy as you are. And everybody else is trying to get someplace like you're trying to get. Slow down. See some reality. Because there is great potential for great shock to come about to make you wake up and see things differently. So that is it for the astrology. And like I said, I'm sorry if I seem like I was kind of, fumbling through it. I wasn't. I have everything written down. I just usually have it all printed up nice and neat and all that kind of thing. But this has been a new moon that's quite different because, just like I said, I've been going through a lot as well. It has been very heavy, but resilience, right? And it's very humbling. It's very much humbling. So I wish you all the best. This is not saying doom and gloom. This is saying life happens, to trust in yourself, to trust in your intuition. Remember your sovereignty. Remember who you are. Remember you have a soul that has a purpose. You have a heart. Remember these things about you and go forward. Go forward, not just for your selfish means, but for the others as well, for the world. And I'll do a show with Mars and Venus coming together in Aquarius, because this is going to be one that is really going to add some beautiful energy. Beautiful energy. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I tried to give some highlights of what's going on without being an hour long. So I will see you all next time. Merry part until we merry meet again.